Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Golden Kingdom. So, in the last episode, we managed to do some wheeling and some dealing. I think we pulled off a deal with Morella, and now we're hopefully going to work out a deal with Dirtia over here. However, it seems like we're going to have a little bit of a confrontation here with my daughter, because we're going to be visiting the Asquaris gas field. Now, the last time we did this, she brought along her little boy thing, which was Manus Saison, who we royally hate this time. I hope that isn't the case. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the case. We'll see how this goes. So, let's hop back into it. I had invited Vina on a yacht trip from Tope out to view the Asquaris gas field. I hadn't visited since its expansion had been completed, and it had been a long time since my daughter and I had talked. The Rizia was anchored a few hundred meters offshore. I stood on the aft deck awaiting Vina's arrival. Claiming she was tired of being hounded by the press, she asked to take a dinghy incognito from a nearby port. As the small craft pulled up alongside my yacht, I realized my daughter wasn't alone. She secured the boat and climbed out to join me on deck, followed by Manus Saison. Of course she did. Hello, Father. Yes, greetings, Your Majesty. Manus bowed. The two of them regarded me nervously. Oh, God. So, Manus Saison is inevitable. Because of course he is. You. How dare you even show your face in front of me? Vina swiftly stepped between us. He didn't want to come today, Father. I convinced him. I wanted a chance for the three of us to speak in private, out of the way of the press. Fine, but be glad I'm not beheading you both for your insolence. Your mercy is unparalleled, Your Majesty. The yacht pulled up anchor and we began our journey out to the Asquaris field. As we ascended to the upper deck, I noted the Rizania's shabby state of repairs. The paint was peeling in places and a few of the fixtures were rusted. It's about time I had my ship restored. I am going to actually get it fixed this time, since I actually have the money. Our country shouldn't have to pay for the upkeep of the king's luxury vessel, don't you think so, Mr. Saison? Well, if the king sees the utility in maintaining such a craft, I would not dare to oppose him. We settled around a table on the upper deck. A server came around with orange juice and light refreshments. I looked around. We were surrounded by open ocean, with the gas field yet to come into view. So, Father, Your Majesty, They looked at each other and laughed. What is it? Your king commands you to speak. Manus nodded at my daughter. Well, Father, after our visit to Salabis, I made the bold step of asking Mr. Saison's postal address. We've been corresponding since then, and speaking on the phone when we've had time. I confess, I withheld my feelings at first, fearing reprisal from the king. Yet the more we spoke and wrote, the more I realized what a fool I'd be to walk away from such a beautiful, inspiring woman. You know, I kind of find it slightly ridiculous that I've spent all this money on building up our intelligence service. I have a royal guard that's supposed to be following everybody 24/7. Hell, I even have an intelligence service in Wayland. In Wayland, of all places, the North Korea of this universe or whatever. And I didn't know about this. I couldn't have stopped this before it became a thing, but okay. Vina blushed furiously. We both know better than to rush into marriage, but it is our hope that you will give your blessings to our relationship. I would love nothing more. Of course not. Let me see. No, absolutely not. Vina struggled to remain calm. And why not, Father? I I remember I went through this the last time, and I had a similar reaction when I played the little off-camera one that I did, just kind of running through things and stuff like that. And it infuriated me that I couldn't mention the fact that this is the family who shot me in the shoulder, when they kidnapped me. And you, my daughter, want to turn around and be in a relationship with the son of this said family. And you're asking me why I don't want to turn around and have you in a relationship with this person? Really now? Come on now. Come on. Because your boyfriend here is trying to destroy the Rizian monarchy. Manus shook his head gracefully. Your Majesty, my feelings for your daughter transcend any political goals. If you give us your approval, you will have House Saison's full cooperation in preserving the current system of government. Sir, I gave you my approval and blessing and everything else beforehand. I gave your mother back the territory. I made her duke. I, deposed Rico and everything else in between, and you still turned around and screwed me over. So, yeah, family did at the very least. So I don't want to hear it. My relatives still hold considerable power and influence in Brennus. You shouldn't underestimate their value to the crown. Yeah, and you shouldn't underestimate how many airstrikes I can do. I don't think they have shock and awe in this world just yet, so I could be the first. Let's see. I do not need your house's cooperation, and in fact, you should consider yourselves lucky I haven't thrown you all in prison. Your house should be cooperating with me anyway, Mr. Saison. Need I remind you that I am king? I hate pulling that card every single time. It just reminds me of Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones when he was just like, any man that has to say they're king is no true king. So, I want to be more like Tywin, not like Joffrey. God. Let's see. Then again, if I had to choose between Joffrey or what was his name? God. What was the guy in House of the Dragon? Anyway, I do not need your house's cooperation, and in fact, you should consider yourself lucky I haven't thrown you all in prison. Manus swallowed. I assure you we do, Your Majesty. Come now, Manus. It's unbecoming of you to grovel. Vina looked directly into my eyes. I know princesses don't always get to choose their partners, but father, he makes me the happiest I've been since mother died. I cannot approve this union. Vina, you are to cut off all contact with this man. Mr. Saison, if you ever are seen with her in public, I'll have your head. Vina's jaw dropped. What? No, you can't make me. Come on, Manus. We have to get off this ship right this second. Don't worry. I mean, I don't have to make you, but I surely can get rid of you. We're too far from shore, Your Highness. We don't have enough fuel to make it back from here. And as long as your father is king, we must do as he commands. She nodded slowly. I saw a dangerous glint in her eyes. I remember a scene in The Godfather where somebody went out into a boat. It didn't work out too well for that person. Yes, as long as he is king. Interesting phrasing there. Nobody spoke for a while. Eventually, the sound of faint industrial noises could be heard. We were nearing the Esquerus field. I'm going to the bow to have a closer look. You may join if you wish. They exchanged uneasy looks, then rose and walked to join me at the ship's bow. The expanded gas field was a sight to behold. A veritable city of metal drilling rigs rose out of the sea in front of us, connected by a labyrinth of platforms, cables, and pipelines. This investment had better be worth it. Vina didn't respond. She stared out at the sea in stony silence. The Rizia completed a slow circle around the gas field and began heading back towards the Topaz Harbor. I'll head out on the dinghy before we reach port. Wouldn't want anyone getting the wrong idea. That I'm allowing the son of my kidnapper to court my daughter? Yes, genius, that would paint me in a weak light. Did not mean to offend you in any way, Your Majesty. He turned to look into Vina's eyes. This is not the end, Your Highness. Before Vina or I could respond, he swiftly made his exit down the stairs. A few moments later, I heard the thrum of the dinghy's engine, then a metallic clunk as it detached from the yacht's docking platform. Vina slumped against the bow's railing. I'd rarely seen her this forlorn. I'm going to say nothing. I didn't say anything to her. After a while, she turned away. She seemed as if she could barely stand to look at me. I'll be in this cabin. Fetch me when we reach Topaz. She stormed away. I stayed where I was, watching the little boat as it disappeared towards shore. You know, at first I kind of felt bad about, possibly marrying you off the Rico, but now I'm just going to do it out of spite. Because that just, I don't know, it's something about that in this particular playthrough where you're turning around and being with the guy whose family turned around and shot you. I think I would hope that my daughter would be a little bit more understanding to that, but, kids. All right, grape quality downgraded among pollution fears. Viticulture experts have downgraded the quality rating of several renowned grape varieties in the Valenquez region, including that of the fabled Contivo variety. Industrial pollution of the groundwater is being blamed for the decrease in quality. This is what I got hit with before. Even though from what I remember, I think it doesn't actually affect the trade with Swordland? I could be wrong about that, but I'm fairly sure that's right. All right, Royal Yacht Restoration. The monarchy's grand yacht, commissioned in 1901, now shows signs of wear and tear. While its restoration holds deep symbolic value, it also demands considerable time and resources. The alternative is to sell the antique piece. Yeah, Rusty probably would buy it. Begin restoration works on the Royal Yacht. Let's get to it. It would be nice if I could just have a royal plane or something like that. All right. Rufus Gragg's royal gossip. Which color will the king paint his boat? Now that the treasury has announced funds will be allocated to restoring the king's royal yacht, the RN Rizania, the question burning on everyone's lip is, which color will the new coat of paint be? While gold would be the most royal, maybe the king prefers something bolder, like perhaps purple with large green dots. A slick modern white also remains an option. My God, all those sound terrible. Never been a fan of the gigantic white yachts either. They just look very plain. All right, so let's see what do we have here. Millions of Rizians head to the polls. Across the country, polling stations have opened as fellow citizens head to the polls to fulfill their duty and confirm their support for King Rhombus Taurus by electing a new House of Delegates. We congratulate the Electoral Commission for organizing a smooth voting process. RNC leader Daria Dorava has already cast her vote among large media attention in Port Drazen. Results are not expected until later tonight, but Royal Herald editors will work dutifully through the night to provide a comprehensive morning edition full of the latest results. So as of right now, where do I find it? House of Delegates. So as of right now, the RNC has 44 seats and the opposition has 26. I wonder if this changes if the RNC wins again. Let us see what we have going on here. Malinyeva's workers strike Halt City. Address the workers strike in Argno. Let's see. In Argno, the workers across all industries have laid down their tools in solidarity, demanding an improvement of working conditions for everyone, regardless of profession or industry. Factory gates remain shut and streets are eerily empty, as picket lines set up across town have crippled industry and logistics. I will promise the workers' protection decree because I will do this after the election. I'm not going to do it right now. Okay. Strike leaders talk of union. A strike organized by Melenyeva's workers has brought the city to a standstill. Now, after authorities seemingly allowed the strike to proceed, its leaders are talking about establishing a proper trade union in the city, modeled after foreign examples. Careful. Global media campaign proposal. I didn't have the option to do this before. Oh, I can utilize Rizian intelligence for campaign. The kingdom faces a strategic opportunity to enhance its global standing through a significant media campaign centered in Constantinium Kairut, known for being a hub of diplomatic activity and international lobbying. This initiative aims to positively transform Rizia's international perception, leveraging its location amidst the world's embassies and influential lobbies. I am going to do a massive campaign. Maybe this will actually help me in the long run. I'm not sure what this actually does. I think I did it in my last playthrough and I didn't really see anything for real. But yeah, let's see what this does. I also like that I could use Rizian intelligence, so that's a nice little twist there. Venonesian requests expeditionary force in civil war. The Confederacy now requests more direct military involvement from its Grace allies. The kingdom must decide whether to escalate its involvement by deploying troops. Sending a full division represents a significant commitment and could decisively tip the scales, but it also risks greater entanglement in the conflict. Alternatively, a volunteer brigade offers support without full-scale intervention. However, choosing not to send any forces could weaken Venonism's position and our influence in Grace. We will deploy an infantry division. I mean, we have plenty, so I would deploy more if I could, but, you know, I guess that's good enough. Right? Grace nations commit support to Venonism. In response to the ongoing civil war in Venonism, Grace is increasing its support for the monarchist royalist troops. This assistance aligns with the organization's core values of upholding monarchist governance and stabilizing the region. Our alliance stands firmly with our allies in their time of need, reflecting our commitment to our principles and global stability. Yeah, I'm going to play nice with them for now. All right, we have a meeting with the Royal Council. I'm guessing this is probably going to talk about the election, but before that, the Kingdom of Rizia intervenes in Venonism's civil war. By committing troops to fight on the side of Venonism's besieged prince consort, Rizia has thrown itself into its first armed conflict since its invasion of Palais decades earlier. It remains to be seen whether or not the Rizian troops can turn the tide of the war in favor of its traditional ally, with the situation becoming ever more dire for the Confederacy. At the very least, it signals Rizia's commitment to Grace. Okay. All right, meeting with the Royal Council. I walked into the council chambers. The councilors were already seated and waiting for me. As Titus closed the door behind us, the council members all stood up and bowed in respect. Good day, everybody. Hope there's nothing too crazy to worry about today. The councilors gave me weirdly uncomfortable looks. Ah, great. We'll talk about that in a bit, Your Majesty. Before we begin in earnest, we must acknowledge the results of the recent House of Delegates election. Hugo had a wide smile on his face. The Rizian National Coalition had an excellent showing. They now make up over 3/4 of the delegates. By unanimous vote, Daria Durava has retained the position of House Speaker. Brilliant. I'm glad to hear that the majority of the Rizian public still respects the authority of their monarch and his supporters. Indeed, Your Majesty. In other news, he gestured at Elena. Miss Warner has some important reports to share about our current energy situation. I'll let her speak. Thank you, Your Grace. I will start with an overview of our energy situation. Luckily, we are still producing enough energy to meet our demands and stay above the balance. She placed a stack of papers on the table. Based on our current deals and promises, including our projected energy production, we will be able to meet the demands of our industries if our current projects succeed. Do you have any suggestions on how to improve our energy situation? Apart from the Oris gas field, there's not a very significant short-term improvement we can make at the moment. I believe Mr. Escabel has some news to share about that after our energy briefing. Lorenzo nodded. What is the current projection for our future energy production? Fortunately, at the moment, our energy demands are being met. But unfortunately, we don't have any ongoing projects or deals that will result in more energy output. Our negotiations with Swordland about the Gassam deal also fell flat. The new Swordish president decided not to allow us to invest, so there is no projected income from there. Since there are no active projects, our prediction is that our energy output will stay stagnant in the future. There is, of course, the disputed Oris gas field. The predicted gas output from the field is of immense value. But with our current situation, we won't be able to reap much benefits. And how does the estimated value fit into our current projection? The entire field is enough to supply us for decades to come, but getting the rights to the half of the field could also provide us with an incredible relief. But we can get into the details of that later. I believe Mr. Escobar has some news from the AN. Do you have any other questions, Your Majesty? No, thank you, Miss Warner. I have enough information. So I wonder if this thing with Swordland always happens. Because I do remember this happening in the last playthrough that I had off camera. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything I could have done differently to change that outside of just completely privatizing the energy industry and such. I don't think I completely privatized. I think I raised it slightly, or raised it a little bit more to allow more foreign trade, but not fully privatize the entire industry. So I had to change so many things on the back end. So I can just imagine trying to figure out all the true falses in there was just maddening for this thing. Thank you, Miss Warner. I have enough information. Of course, Your Majesty. She bowed in respect. We also have some news from Mr. Escobar regarding Palais and the Oris gas field. Your Majesty, the result from the AN Arbitration Committee has just come in. The vote outcome was influenced by a number of nations. Prime Minister Alma Sultana of Morella used her legal background to make a convincing argument on our behalf. Queen Beatrice made a personal appearance at the AN to plead our case. Chancellor Hagel of Volkland made an especially heartfelt plea to uphold the original interpretation of Andor without mentioning Rizia by name. Support for Palais came mostly from Lesbia and other Edo nations, of course. In the end, we simply couldn't overcome the clout Edo carries with the AN. The committee agreed with the Pelagian argument about Calicabez not having the same maritime radius as mainland Rizia, acknowledging their sole ownership of the Oris gas field. According to the maritime borders they established, the field falls inside the Pelagian EEZ. This is very bad news for our energy situation. What? According to Andor, about 52% of that field lies within our borders. You are correct, Your Majesty. Palais is playing a dangerous game against us, and we're letting them win. The AN has also ruled that we must immediately withdraw our ships from the Oris gas field. But why did Hagel support us so passionately? He's not supporting us, Your Majesty. The current maritime laws work in Volkland's favor. Their large number of islands in the Markian Sea provide them with an enormous exclusive economic zone. That is correct. Agreeing with the Pelagian interpretation could open the discussion for the re-evaluation of the Volkish maritime borders as well, which may now actually happen in the future. Alvarez and Edo played us both. We can't let Lesbia and Palais win this fight. If I may continue, the AN has also ruled that we must immediately withdraw our ships from the Oris gas field. I'm afraid that's not going to happen. Lorento looked worried. What do you mean, Your Majesty? What do you think will happen if we... No, I already know what's going to happen. There's no way we can accept this resolution. We will not move an inch from the field. I agree, Your Majesty. I say we keep our navy in place and assert our sovereignty. Such a move will put us in a very precarious situation. There's no way the international community will approve of this. No, I agree with the Duchess. We will not back off. Lorenzo and Elena looked worried. As much as the gas in Oris is incredibly valuable for us, I don't see how we can acquire it after the AN's resolution against us. We would likely be condemned by the entire international community. I mean, I think this would be a good time to go ahead. And actually, you know what? It probably would have been a good idea to use the fact that the bomb supposedly came from Palais to go ahead and justify a war in the first place with Palais. So I would have turned around and brought that up. But, you know, I guess that didn't matter in the long run. They condemn all they want. The whole field is going to be ours. It's time we take Palais back. The counselors went silent. They waited for me to explain what I meant. For the time being, we will keep our navy at the field and will not let any Pelasian ships nearby. If they fire at us, we will declare war. Or should I just go ahead and invade them right now? I mean, either way, I'm going to be in violation of treaties and all this bull and stuff like that. So I do kind of want to lean more towards just invading them. I know what happens if I do this. I did this in the off-camera playthrough. And I am going to do this one this time, just to see how this goes. For the time being, we'll keep our navy at the field and will not let any Pelasian ships nearby. If they fire at us, we will declare war. Understood, Your Majesty. That settles it then. A strong response. I believe it's time to wrap this up. Everyone stood up and bowed. I left the chambers. I walked to the royal quarters of the palace. All right. So Axel wants to play a dangerous game. He'll play a dangerous game. And so will we. All right. Message from your sister-in-law. Oh, Ramus, on behalf of the Kingdom of Rumberg, I would like to extend my official congratulations with the victory of the RNC in your election. It warms my heart to see just how much your people support you. Kairut congratulates Rizia on successful elections. The Republic of Kairut extended its formal congratulations to the Kingdom of Rizia for holding a successful election. It cited a desire for continued diplomatic relations with our kingdom and wished us a peaceful future. Pelasian Navy ready to challenge blockade. The Grand Duchy of Palais announced that it is readying its navy to defy the blockade of the Oris gas field by Rizian ships. It's pointed out that according to the AN ruling, the blockade of the gas field is a severe violation of international law, and stated that while it had no intentions of expanding the conflict, the Pelasian Navy would not hesitate to implement the AN ruling. Do it. I dare you. All right, King's Party triumphant. The RNC representatives of the king and protectors of the monarchy have achieved a resounding victory in the elections, reducing the opposition's seat count in the House of Delegates to a mere 19 seats. This overwhelming victory shows the faith Rizia's people have in their king and provides a mandate for a strong and stable future. Congratulations for the RNC have started pouring in from across the country, with the palace thanking the party for their hard work in the campaign. We too congratulate the RNC for its win and want to thank all volunteers that made the election a success. Sign up for the King's Army, citizens, patriots. We at the Royal Herald call upon any able-bodied men willing to serve the king and country to enlist at their local recruitment bureau. As more and more actors question Rizia's sovereignty, we must do our duty and ensure our country is able to defend itself should the time come. A career in the military is a prestigious and financially beneficial endeavor. Large pensions are given to former soldiers, and a significant sign-up bonus calculated based on age will be issued for any sign-ups within the next week. Glorious Axa Rizia. And the king rejects AN ruling. The recent Alliance of Nations ruling granting full control over the Oris gas field to Palais, despite the majority of the field lying within Rizia's maritime boundary, has caused outrage across the nation, with our king now openly challenging the ruling. In order to keep up the pressure on Palais, our Royal Navy will blockade the gas field in order to prevent Palaisian drilling ships starting operations. All right. The world is anxious as Rizia amasses troops on Palais border. The entirety of Marcopa and the rest of the world by extension is following Rizia's military buildup on the Palasian border closely. In recent days, multiple divisions are reported to be on the move, with Rizian airplanes flying dangerously close to Palasian airspace almost daily. Both ADO and CSP have argued Rizia for constraint. Bloomberg has defended the Rizian military buildup, highlighting that any country has the right to move troops within its own borders as it pleases. Disputed gas field belongs to Palais, AN rules. The Alliance of Nations announced its long-awaited ruling on the Oris gas field dispute, siding with Palais and ruling that Rizia's claims to the field are invalid under international law. The responsible committee highlighted that due to its size and population, the Rizian island of Calacabiz cannot expect to have the same maritime radius as mainland Rizia, a position that was backed up by multiple countries, including Lesbia. A first reaction by the Rizian representative to the AN contained disbelief at the decision. Observers say the ruling provides a potentially dangerous precedent for the feature, as maritime boundaries across Marcopa are now open for questioning. The ruling also contained a passage on the presence of Rizian naval vessels in the vicinity of the gas field, demanding an immediate withdrawal and considering it a clear violation of international law. And I wonder if that's something else that's going to be tackled, again, not in necessarily future DLCs since they're going back in the past, but maybe future games in the series that do go well in the future. Because, this is something that's kind of a major topic nowadays, is the usefulness of the United Nations. Basically, they're useless. I mean, because you have the permanent members who basically veto everything and nothing can get done. No real change can actually get done. So, it's kind of useless for the most part, unless it's something, no, it's just basically useless, honestly. So you're kind of seeing this happening right now where, if you're, in an alliance with one of the, major powers, either ADO or United Cantana, there's not a whole lot the Alliance of Nations can turn around and do, because, there's a lot of power behind that. So, it makes me wonder, how in the future, in future games, if they will kind of tackle that. All right. So I did say I was going to go ahead and pass some royal decrees. Let's go ahead and do a few of these, shall we? Let's have, where's the workers' protection? Let's do the housing for the poor initiative. So that's the first one. This is something the actual RNC in America would do. Wait till after the election and pass a whole bunch of stuff, and then, but before it, just make sure nothing gets passed that could actually benefit people. Workers' rights protection for all industries. Yeah, we'll go ahead and pass that. Rusty can fuck off. Let me see. What else do I want to pass? I'm not going to allow a free press. I don't know if I want a naturalization process for foreigners and resident and work permits for migrants. I might do one of them. Oh, I'll also go ahead and pass this. The Ramis Taurus University. And lastly, I will go ahead. I guess I'll pass this. A new framework for granting residence and work permits to migrants has been established, designed to streamline the application process and support our labor market needs. This program will facilitate the entry and integration of skilled migrants into the workforce, ensuring they contribute effectively to our economy. It will strike a balance between the need for external talent and the protection of domestic labor markets, thereby promoting an environment of fair competition and demographic stability. Well, vitality, excuse me. So yeah, I'll go ahead and sign that. Why not? And I do kind of want to do the welfare privatization, but I'm not gonna do it. All right, so we've already seen these in the previous playthrough, so we won't go through it this time. But that should alleviate this problem that we have here in Port Dresden, and I think throughout the country, where you have problems trying to get rent and trying to get, good housing for people. I think that's been one of the major issues that we've had. Where art thou? Yes, we have those. Oh, so those actually got finished. Good. Yeah, Affordable Housing Initiative. The Affordable Housing Initiative is a program aimed at addressing the housing affordability challenges faced by citizens. This initiative involves various measures such as subsidies, incentives for developers, and streamlined regulations to make housing more accessible and affordable to a broader segment of the population. Good. And we have the Workers' Protection Act. The Workers' Protection Act is a legislative measure designed to uphold and enhance the rights and welfare of workers across various industries in Rizia. This comprehensive act enforces principles of fair labor practices, equitable compensation, reasonable working hours, and the provision of safe and secure working environments. All right, so now the Gokhandas have unrestricted access to Gokhandas places of worship. So they should be better. Horrible workers' rights. Hopefully it can get better. I don't know how long it takes for a lot of this stuff to kick in, but I would hope that it would be very soon. All right, residents and workers permits, so that's out of the way. Oh, look at that. Man, you guys suck. All right. I wonder if that's the best outcome you can get for them. All right, late night at the palace. I don't know how this is gonna, or what this actually is. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a talk with Pable too, so I'll go through this as well. It's the first time I haven't had a chance to skip it quite some time. Oh, I know what this is. I was woken up in the middle of the night by the Golden Guard. Due to the sensitivity of the information, I had to be urgently briefed in person. As the king, I knew such a summons could only mean dire news. I put on my clothes and followed Titus through the corridors of the palace. Now stay silent. On our way to the chambers, we spoke no words to each other. When we arrived at the doors to the Council of Chambers, Uncle Hugo greeted me. He tugged on my arm, leaned in, and whispered, "Ramus, my boy, I'm afraid we'll be facing our biggest crisis yet. I must stress, this is the time everybody needs a calm and resilient leadership." He took a long look at me and my clothes that I'd rushed to put on. "Your butler couldn't be summoned in time, I take it." He put his hand on my shoulder. "Make sure you're ready. I'm sure you'll do the right thing." I'm always ready, Uncle. I'm glad to hear that. He opened the doors for us, and we entered a scene of barely restrained chaos. The counselors were already gathered inside, their faces etched with the lines of worry. Upon my entrance, they all stood up immediately. Lucida approached me with a calm demeanor that contrasted with the anxious atmosphere inside. She bowed and spoke. "Your Majesty, we have an emergency to report. About an hour ago, we received grave news, to put it mildly. A very serious incident at sea around the Oris gas field has unfolded. May the divine God protect us. I wish there was another way to put this. The Grand Duchy of Palais has committed an act of war." Tell me what happened now. This is what we know so far. Approximately half an hour ago, the ship we sent to enforce our claim to the Oris gas field fired on and sunk a Pelagian vessel. According to our reports, a small fleet of 3 Pelagian ships advanced directly at our ships despite repeated warnings. The vessel that was sunk was not only warned, it managed to ram into our flagship, the RRN Valero, damaging it almost beyond repair. Our fleet then acted in retaliation, discharging its weapons at the Pelagians and sinking one of their ships. Their other 2 vessels were immediately surrounded. They are still being kept at the location of the incident. It's an outrage. They were warned, yet they encroached upon the field, knowing that our navy would defend it. That's true, our fleet only acted in defense of our nation's assets, but this is still a disaster. The sinking of a ship is a grave matter. Hmm. And the casualties? We're still ascertaining the full extent, but preliminary reports suggest multiple injuries aboard the Valero. Hmm. I hope for the Duke's sake that we have no Rizian casualties on board. Hugo sighed heavily. And the extent of the damage? Severe, Your Majesty. The impact compromised the hull's integrity, causing significant flooding in the engine room and adjacent compartments. The Valero's propulsion system is heavily damaged, rendering the ship immobile. It is currently running on emergency power, but the flooding is critical. The damage control teams are working tirelessly, but without external assistance, the risk of losing the flagship is very high. We estimate approximately 150 sailors are engaged in containment efforts as we speak. That sounds incredibly serious. We can't afford to lose our most valuable vessel by an attack like this. I don't give a shit about the Palladian ship. Therefore, we must act quickly, Your Majesty. Our fleet requires all the help we can give. I've heard enough. We can't spend any more time on this. We need to take action. I agree. The Admiral is waiting for our decision. Exactly. We should consider capturing their remaining ships as a bargaining chip. As I understand, we already have them surrounded. Yes, we do. The remaining two, upon seeing their companion's fate, ceased their advance and are currently held at a standoff distance. They're completely surrounded and outgunned. The Admiral is waiting for your orders on how to deal with the situation. Additionally, it is reported that there are survivors from the colliding ship. These are perilous waters, Your Majesty, so we do not know if we'll be able to manage a complete rescue operation without any help arriving. Our fleet is currently fully focused on holding the remaining vessels in place, while trying to help the RRN Valero containing the flood. Duchess Azaro, what is the current status of the Palladian sailors? Do you think they can be saved? Don't care. What's the distance to the nearest Rizian port for additional support? The closest port capable of dispatching a rescue team is on the mainland. Under current conditions, it will take several hours for a rescue team to reach the site. Those sailors don't have several hours in these waters, Your Majesty. We're talking about the open sea, and they're likely without sufficient life-saving equipment. Your Majesty, leaving the Palladian sailors to fend for themselves could be seen as a severe dereliction of maritime duty. It would damage our international standing, and the Duke would paint us as inhumane. This is their game, Councilor Escabel. We can't let them write the rules for it. However, focusing our efforts on the RRN Valero is crucial. It's not only about saving our flagship, which is our most expensive asset in the Navy, but also about preventing further loss of Rizian life. Diverting our frigates to rescue could jeopardize the containment efforts of the Valero, as well as risk the escape of the Palladian vessels. I think I have the picture. Any last thoughts before I announce my decision? May the Divine grant you strength, Your Majesty. House Taurus expects you to use this opportunity, Your Majesty. Enough. Palais has dared to attack us, and such insolence demands retribution. I will show them the might of our kingdom. Prepare for war. The councilors fell silent, a shocked look on their faces. Understood, Your Majesty. Our soldiers will march at your command. I didn't expect to hear this, to say the least. But if Your Majesty thinks the time has finally come, so be it. I've always been a proponent of peace, but in this instance, I cannot ignore the potential economic boom for the Oris Field represents. Wow. You know, I expect some people to be cold, but Jesus Christ, she's just like, but that gas though. Hmm. Hmm. I'm surprised you're not on Mr. Escabel's side. Why? There's a time for diplomacy and a time for action. Lorento turned to me for one last appeal. Is this not reckless, Your Majesty? Have we considered all diplomatic avenues? Are we prepared for the repercussions? We've all heard the king, Mr. Escabel. I will signal the General Staff immediately. Thank you, Duchess. I wish it had not come to this, but our military is ready to rise to the challenge. The councilors fell silent. Hold on, I want to hear it. Is there anybody who has the guts to question my decision? There was complete silence. I believe that was all, Your Majesty. The councilors bowed in respect and left the room. All right, that's what I thought. All right, we have what? Regional tourist destination, strong women's right, acceptable workers' rights, great living standards, strong welfare state. Nice. All right, so war it is. They wanted a fight. They will have a fight. Additional costs on royal yacht restoration. The restoration of the monarchy's grand yacht, a symbol of national pride since 1901, encounters unforeseen expenses. The decision now is whether to pay additional costs and source timber either from Wayland or through other means. This choice has the budget implications and will influence the future of this historic vessel. Pay the additional restoration costs and purchase additional timber. All right. Let's see what we got down here in the Grand Duchy. Thousands march to demand repercussions for sailors' death. Hundreds of thousands of people have gathered across Palatian cities demanding the international community to take action against what it perceived as a Rizian war crime. The sinking of a Palatian vessel by Rizian ships and the subsequent failure to rescue the sailors aboard said ships has sparked outrage across all levels of Palatian society. Oh, fuck y'all. Y'all have a different tune when I'm in the capital. General Azaro comments on Palais tension. General Thaddeus Azaro, currently convalescing from a series of strokes, graciously spoke to the herald from his Montclair home regarding the possibility of a second conflict between Rizia and Palais. Despite his health challenges, General Azaro's spirit remains unbroken, and his mind is sharply focused on the future security of this kingdom. Azaro, whose strategic acumen has been instrumental in shaping Rizia's military policies, argued that the lessons learned from our past encounters with Palais must guide our preparation for a potential second war. We must not wait for Palais to make the first move, he stated, emphasizing the importance of readiness and strategic deployment of Rizia's armed forces to deter any Palaisian advances. The general's call to arms is not just about defense, it's a rallying cry for the preservation of Rizian sovereignty and the protection of our way of life. Palais attacks Rizian gas field. 3 Palaisian vessels attempted to break Rizia's rightful blockade of the Oris gas field, located largely within Rizian maritime borders, with one of them paying the heaviest price. The blatant attack was targeted at the pride of the Rizian Royal Navy, the RRN Valero, which was heavily damaged after a ramming attempt. We thank our mighty fleet for swiftly responding, sinking the offending Palaisian ship, and will pray for a rapid recovery of those injured aboard the Valero. Palais will pay for this act of aggression. All right. Major escalation as Rizian sinks Palaisian ships. In the early morning, the Palaisian Navy attempted to break the naval blockade that Rizia had imposed on the Oris gas field, a disputed part of the Antician Sea that has seen ever-increasing diplomatic and military maneuvering between Rizia and Palais in recent months. The result was deadly, as one of the Palaisian ships rammed the Rizian RRN Valero, resulting in formidable damage to the flagship. Rizia's remaining ships opened fire, sinking one of the Palaisian vessels and surrounding the remaining 2. The exact number of casualties is currently still unknown. Nations across Marcopa called for restraint to avoid a further escalation of the conflict, but many international observers are afraid all-out war is on the horizon. And that it is. He wanted a fight, so he'll get a fight. Oh god, the alignment of the 6 stars. I am going to skip this because this is very long and it is somewhat nonsense to a certain degree. But yeah, I am going to skip all of this. So see you in a bit. All right, I am back after a very, very long talk with Saul. It was kind of interesting too because there's a part in there where you can kind of hint at the investigation that's going on, and you can ask Saul about, the faith's beliefs when it comes to murder and things like that. And there's also a path in there too where you can talk about, the war and, your feelings as a religious person when it comes to, you know, faith and war and how that kind of conflicts with the ideals of peace and their religion and stuff like that. So that is very interesting. It's so much. It's a lot to actually unpack there, but it is very interesting if you really do want to kind of delve into the lore and such. All right, Republic of Sorlin, what do you want? Sorlin Black Tuesday, a massive currency crash and market rout has put us in dire straits. News from Sorlin has sent ripples through our economic circles. A dramatic currency crash triggered by a sudden tripling of their money supply due to recent economic policies. This development led to panic selling and hyperinflation, causing massive fluctuations in Sorlin's currency and quadrupling consumer prices. In response, the Central Bank of Sorlin has frozen transactions and slashed interest rates, aiming to stimulate spending. It's the new anthem. Oh, God. Troubling news from East Marcopa. I forgot that would happen because, of course, I had 99 budget when I did that. So, yeah. I don't know how that's going to affect our money and such, but yeah. That may affect it down the line. All right, so I am going to change the state religion to Nurity. I feel like that would be a good kind of in-between for what I would like to do in this playthrough. Through this decree, the state formally recognizes Nurity as its official religion, transitioning from its Ruasis roots, a branch of Nurity itself. This change reflects a consolidation of spiritual belief systems and practices under a broader religious umbrella, fostering greater unity within the religious diversity of the nation. Now, something that's kind of interesting here is that in my off-camera playthrough, I actually had the option to choose to make Das Nurity the state religion, which is the religion of Dirtia, of course. So I thought that was kind of interesting that you can actually flip it all together and choose Das Nurity as your religion. I guess I couldn't do it this time around because it's not because I'm a faithful person, because I was a faithful person in my off-camera playthrough, but I was also more open and I passed a lot more, free laws and kind of allowed things to kind of let people do as they wish when they came to religion and stuff like that. So I guess that's the reason why it's a lot different this time around. So yes, I'm going to change state religion to Nurity so that way we can get some unity up in here. So let's do that. All right, and then the only other decree we have is, of course, I could remove state religion altogether. I am not going to do that. All right, Port Drazen, funding of religious charities. In the Rizian Kingdom, faith plays a vital role in the lives of many citizens. The Crown can support religious charities. The choices include backing a Ruasis, Gokandis, or Dasnuris charity, each with its own unique doctrines and influence within Rizian society. Alternatively, the government could opt to refrain from funding any religious organizations, maintaining a stance of more secular governance. I kind of wonder if maybe later on I could possibly choose to be Gokandis. Because it gave me the opportunity for Dasnurism, but I wonder if you could choose Gokandism as well. I will fund all Nurity charities. All right, so let's see what we have here. King funds Ruasis charity. Our beloved King Ramis has allocated a generous budget to various Ruasis charities, enabling those loving organizations to spread compassion and care throughout our society, as well as promote our traditional values. His generosity truly knows no bounds, and so does my budget. Nurity to replace Ruasism as kingdom's official religion. In an unprecedented royal decree, King Ramis has changed the state religion of our country in order to better reflect the variety of religious thought in our country and to promote the healing of differences between various strands of Nurity, Nurity has been declared the new state religion. This means that not just Ruis's thought will be promoted and championed by the state, but also Gokandis, Desnuris, and smaller offshoots of Nurity. After all, despite differences, all of these go back to the same roots, the divine God and the teachings of Saint Dast. In a world that's rapidly losing much of its religion and morality, we should no longer squabble over minor differences, but embrace the spirituality that connects us all. Anti-Planetary Society's Million Man March ends in comic failure. Let me see. The first annual launch of an event meant to bring together millions of like-minded anti-planet activists fizzled out before leaving the atmosphere. Organized by the group Anti-Planetary Society, against the backdrop of the alignment of the Six Stars, the march was held outside the Ark Sanctuary of Plavo as a protest against the commonly held belief in other planets in our universe. However, instead of the expected seven-figure turnout, they managed to gather just 7 attendees. We had such high expectations, said Dicky Gubney, president of the Fringe organization. The misguided belief in the theory of planets is one of the greatest tragedies of our times. It's harming our society and indoctrinating our children's minds with fake science. Given the march's virtually non-existent attendance, it begs the question, was the dismal turnout in fact a sign from the heavens? Oh man. And of course, we've already read this about the Six Stars alignment in the previous playthrough, so I will not go over that again. All right. Let's see. Local Desnuris community happy with charity. Local Desnuris groups have stated their gratitude for the King's generous donation to one of their leading charity organizations. They stated the allocated funds will be used to help alleviate migrant poverty in major population centers like Isa. Okay. And what do we have down here? Terrador, a conversation with Lucida Azara. I believe this is just the conversation where we're hanging out at the bar and such like that. I'll go ahead and skip this because this is obviously a part of Operation Mount Lucida, which is, roving success so far, but we will continue on this path. So, BRB. All right, the operation was a success. So let's see what we have here. The King visits Terrador Air Force Base. Together with Duchess Azaro, King Ramus has taken a tour of the Terrador Air Force Base, inspecting the state of Rizia's air forces in the process, and meeting with some of Rizia's most decorated pilots. I don't think I have that tab open, actually. I was told that I need to increase the amount of airstrike capabilities that I have. But yeah, I don't really see it on here. I did change it in the files or whatnot. Gave me the option for 10. I didn't want to go overboard with it, but we'll see how this plays out once I get to the actual war games. I've only played the war games once, and again, it was just the tutorial thingy. I didn't actually play the entire war games scenario or the entire war scenario, but we'll see how it goes. Last call with Duke Reinhardt. I sat in my office, waiting to place the call that will change the future of Rizia and Palais. I placed the phone to my ear. I took a deep breath as Duke Reinhardt picked it up. It's King Ramus Taurus, the ruler of Rizia and Peri and Valenqueris, and of Brennus and Isa, of Carday and Monteclair, and the ancient lands of the Resinid, descendant of the most honorable Queen Liza and King Valero, and the sovereign of the kingdom of Rizia. Am I supposed to be impressed? Indeed, you should be. So, what did you want to tell me, Your Majesty? Let's see. Please listen to me very carefully. This is your last chance. He went silent. I kind of like that. This is not a joke, Your Grace. Palais has become a rogue nation with you at its head. Rizia will militarily intervene if you don't comply. Hmm. You will surrender the Oris field to Rizia completely. You must be insane if you thought I would give in to your threats. You still dare insult me. You will pay for this, Duke Reinhardt. Palais stood against the forces of your father, Your Majesty. If you're willing to make the same mistake, so be it. Remember, I've given you a choice, and you refused. You will regret it. I hung up. And just like that, the Palaisian War had begun. All right, so it's war with Palais. We have a briefing on the invasion of Palais, and we have the Sovereign Memorial Commemoration. I will skip the Sovereign Memorial Commemoration. There's not a whole lot of new ground to tread there. Well, it did get pretty heated the last time, so actually I think I will go over that since it's probably going to be heated this time since I know about my mother's new religion. Or I guess it was always her religion. Let's see. Let's go over the briefing of the invasion of Palais. Arriving at the council chambers to discuss the war plans with the highest ranking. I arrived at the council chambers to discuss the war plans with the highest ranking members of the Rizian military. I had never seen this room accommodate people who are not part of the council before. Today it was packed with military staff. Every single top-ranking general and admiral in Rizia was in attendance. As soon as I entered the room, they stopped their chatter and saluted me. Everyone except the man in a wheelchair stood up. They were standing over a massive table, arranging golden and silver tokens atop a map of Palais. Lucida rushed to my side. Your Majesty. Salute. I saluted. Everyone in the room gave a military salute. Given his unmatched expertise on military strategy, I brought General Thaddeus with me today. As soon as she said that, I realized the man in the wheelchair was the famous general himself. Despite knowing him for years as my father's counselor for war and security, and even serving under him in the military, I had difficulty recognizing him. When we caught eyes, he saluted me. Salute him back. Shall I start, Your Majesty? I nodded in approval. Before we begin, news from the Grand Admiral. Unfortunately, the damages from the attack on our flagship Valero were worse than initially reported, and the ship still remains out of service. We won't be able to use it in our invasion. She cleared her throat. Your Majesty, our forces are already mobilized. Our Navy and Air Forces are prepared and are waiting for your orders. And our ground forces will be ready to cross the border within 48 hours. Due to the overwhelming presence of the Palaisian Navy and naval defenses around Palais and the Gulf of Ails, including the possibility of direct engagement with Lesbia, our strategy will have to rely on an attack from either the north or the southwest. And what is our intelligence on Palaisian defenses? Our intelligence suggests Palais is expecting an immediate incursion, and they've been strengthening their northern borders with us, building forts and bunkers along River Alca. But according to reports, they are already deploying thousands of soldiers along their whole border at this moment. We believe they've recently received dozens of tanks of Lesbian origin as well. She pointed at the Antician Sea on the map. Unfortunately, due to their recent acquiral of a large number of Lesbian destroyers, their navy is more than capable of breaking our blockade attempts. And what is the plan for the initial strike? Our first objective is to take control of their cities, Zeeks and Arquez, and trap their forces in at the choke point at Tholes. The General Staff proposes a two-pronged attack. First, we'll need to block Pelasian ports from receiving any external support and cripple their trade. Second, a large ground offensive aimed at securing key border defenses. Speed is of the essence. We must overwhelm Pelasian soldiers before they can fully organize. However, an assault from the north will be very bloody, especially crossing River Alca. It is their most fortified border. Attacking from the north could potentially surprise them. They wouldn't expect us to lead a grand offensive on their most fortified border. It is indeed one of our options. What would attacking from the north entail? We can deploy our armored forces around Fort Ailes and focus our attack on Navarre. If we get Navarre quickly, we can move towards Arquez and cut out the supply of their whole army. However, initiating an attack from Fort Ailes will put our city in great risk, and we have to be quick enough for them not to focus their forces in the north. What is the suggestion of the generals? Our proposal is to feign an attack in the north to make them focus their forces there, but to spread our forces throughout the border. This strategy would allow us to strike from the west. However, their western border is covered with mountains, and we believe they possess specially trained mountaineer units defending those terrains. There's a chance we can break through from their southern coast with the help of our navy. If we can deploy our armored units on that front, we can possibly push from their coast and block their supplies. We can also focus on a naval invasion. I'm afraid with our current capabilities, it's not possible to initiate a massive naval invasion. Our specially trained Marines can definitely open an additional front from the south, but due to our capacity, it would be quite a limited assault. I like the idea of feigning an attack from the north to split their forces. I'm with you on that, Your Majesty. Okay, let's talk about our deployment and general strategy. As the king, you have total control over our military strategy and the deployment of our troops. Instead, may I provide you with a briefing before we make any decisions? Please, General. What would you like to hear about first? What's the status of our military? As mentioned, our land armies are getting ready for action, Your Majesty. We can currently field a large number of infantry divisions. This is quite enough to overwhelm the Pelasian forces. Thankfully, we also have a huge number of mechanized support divisions, which will be incredibly useful in supporting the assaults of our infantry and armored divisions. And lastly, when it comes to our tanks, our tank divisions outnumber Palais in number, and they will be leading the main assault. She had a confident smile on her face. On the other hand, our air force is barely capable of contesting Pelasian air superiority. We can still try conducting bombings outside of the reach of their primary air defense systems, which will be quite a problem. And lastly, our Navy has unfortunately suffered a great loss with RRN Valero taken out of service. It is also important to highlight that as much as we can contest Palais at the sea, they still have superior technology and numbers than us. Our admirals have reported that our specially trained Marine divisions and their deployment ships will be ready to initiate a coastal invasion in no time. Luckily, our fleets contain a large number of destroyers, which will surely help us get the superiority on the sea. Our submarines will also provide the much-needed support when necessary. We have a good number of them to be able to wreak havoc on their ships. All right, give me the details of each front and what to expect. Of course. She pointed to River Alca on our border with Palais. On their northern border, they have several heavily fortified areas across River Alca. They also have incredibly sophisticated air defenses placed on the town of Navarre, very close to our city, Fort Ailes. These defenses will severely impact our capability to push for an assault from Fort Ailes. She then pointed to the city of Zeeks and the western border. Their most defended position on their western front is right between our city of Terrador and the Pelasian city of Zeeks. We suspect they may push for a counteroffensive from Zeeks, possibly with their armored division in the front. The city of Zeeks and its surroundings are also defended by heavy air defense systems, which we believe to be located south of the city. The western borders are also home to mountainous terrain, which cuts the northern front from the south, directly in the middle of Palais. We can expect to see heavy resistance in these mountains. We know that Palais have special mountaineer units defending those positions. What are our strategic objectives? Our initial operation will be aimed at taking control of Arquez and Zeeks. The city of Zeeks is located very close to our borders, and it lies on the highway and railway system that runs in the middle of the country. Due to his proximity to our border, it is heavily defended. Unfortunately, our air forces can't be of any help before we can destroy their anti-air systems, which are located in the mountains south of the city. Another strategic point is the town of Navarre, directly by our border near Fort Els. Palais also has incredibly sophisticated anti-air defenses installed in the area, and any attack from the north would require the capture of the area for our air forces to be able to support our operation. He pointed at the map. The most important goal for our initial operation is to capture the city of Arquez, situated directly in the middle of Palais. We have intelligence that their defense is organized from there, and it provides supplies to every front. By cutting that city from their network, we can crush their border defenses and create a new front line from Navarre to the sea. Okay, so here's what we'll do. Before the invasion, we will feign an attack from the north and try to get their forces to focus there. Before the invasion, we will feign an attack from the south and try to get their forces to focus there. We will lead a direct assault without any precursors. It is better if they spread their defenses without a clear focus. I want to go with the northern strategy, where we just straight up attack their northern point. But I feel like that would just completely catch them off guard if we were to take it. So I think that's this one. Before the invasion, we'll feign an attack from the north and try to get their forces to focus there. Before the invasion, we'll feign an attack from the south and try to get their forces there. Yeah, we will lead a direct assault without any precursors. It's better if they spread their defenses without a clear focus. I think that's what that was. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. The generals in the room gave me a military salute while shouting, "Yes, sir." Let's see. And I think furthermore, we will immediately focus our navy to blockade the Gulf of Palais. Our efforts must be focused at their capital, even if that means a direct confrontation with their strongest fleet. Yeah, I mean, we have a gigantic navy, so we can do this. Understood, Your Majesty. In light of this, I'd like to send you a detailed plan for our initial deployment through the border, focusing on simultaneous attack towards Zeeks and the southwestern coast. I do like this. I made a mistake and did this the last time, where you can just opt out of it, and basically the war will kind of be dependent upon, I guess, your stats in the background and what decisions you've chose and how much of a military you have and such. There are some other things that pop up in the process, but yeah, I like that. I like the fact that they do have where you can opt out of the war gameplay. So that was something that I kind of mentioned in the beginning. Now, if I could opt out of just, running the military and having to build that up myself too, that would be great. I wish they had something like this at the beginning of the game, so you can just kind of opt out of, the whole armed forces thing and just let Lucida be in charge of trying to build it up. Then you have certain budget parts where you have to do, and et cetera, et cetera. So. All right, I will look into it in detail, General. Thank you, Your Majesty. Everyone in the room except Thaddeus stood up and saluted me. We will relay your orders immediately, Your Majesty. I will return to you as soon as we have an update. And there it was. The invasion of Palais was about to begin. Event available. The invasion of Palais. In 1955, the simmering tensions between the Kingdom of Rizia and the Grand Duchy of Palais erupted into a full-scale conflict, marking the onset of the Second Rizian-Palaisian War. Mirroring historical confrontations where long-standing disputes boil over into warfare, Rizia launched an extensive military invasion into Palais, deploying a comprehensive strategy that engaged all branches of its armed forces. This aggressive push saw a significant deployment of ground troops bolstered by air and naval support, aiming to overwhelm Palaisian defenses through sheer force and coordinated maneuvers. The conflict rapidly escalated, with both sides committing substantial resources to what rapidly became the primary theater of war in the region. Yep, I'm going for the straight Belkin War strategy from Ace Combat Zero. Hopefully I don't end up just like Belkin. But yeah, I want to just straight up blitz them, get it all in there, knock out Fort L's, and, go from there. Wait, Fort L's is on our side. Yep, that's on our side. So yeah, do not knock out Fort Hills. But yeah, I just want to straight up launch a strike from the north and just overwhelm them completely. Glory to the troops, Palais and Rizia at war. As the first reports of fighting on the Palaisian border started coming in last night, one thing has become clear. Rizia and Palais are at war once again. While the palace hasn't commented yet on these early reports, King Ramus has announced he will give a speech later today. For now, the Royal Herald declared its commitment to our brave troops and praise for their victory on the battlefield. Glorious Axa Rizia. Fighting erupts as Rizia seemingly invades Palais. Last night, first reports started emerging of Palaisian border posts being shelled by Rizian troops, as well as violations of Palaisian airspace and the first tank columns entering border areas. While the full scale of the incident is not yet clear, everything indicates a full-scale invasion. King Ramus is expected to formally declare the start of the war in a speech scheduled for this afternoon. Already, CSP and ADO representatives have condemned the aggression, calling for an immediate retreat of Rizian troops and restart of negotiations. Nah, they about to get this foot. That's all they're gonna get. All right, they have quite a bit to deal with, and I love it. All right, Sovereign Memorial Commemoration. This may go badly. The National Mausoleum, high in the hills above Port Drazen, embraced me with its stately presence. I was here for the annual Sovereign Memorial Commemoration, a ceremony honoring the former monarchs of Rizia. Having left Hugo in charge of overseeing the event, I had arrived early before the formal ceremony commenced to have a moment to myself. Adorned with statues and inscriptions of monarchs from eras long past, the mausoleum stood as witness to the enduring legacy of Rizia. In its hushed corridors, I sought solace, not as a king, but as a man burdened by the echoes of history. I had also come to honor the memory of my late wife, Lena, whose resting place could be found within these hallowed grounds as well. Vina, of course, was by my side. She was holding a bouquet. Feels like we were just here. I miss her so much. I I do have to mention though, I cheated on my wife quite a bit in the beginning and stuff. So it's kind of interesting that, it doesn't really get brought up. But, I guess it's because I'm the king and such. So, Yes, but time moves on. So we must as well. Maybe time moves on for you, but for me, it still feels like I'm stuck in a moment that I can't escape. It was my own pleading that steered us into that storm. We should have never set foot on that boat. Hmm. Uh, that seems a bit harsh, but also I feel like I need to be harsh to her to a certain degree. It's not your fault, Vina. You couldn't have predicted it. It was a tragic accident. But I feel responsible. If I hadn't asked her to go, she would still be here. I'm not going to say that because, again, I don't think it'll be of much help for her. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can't blame yourself for something beyond your control. And your mother wouldn't want you carrying that burden. Tears filled her eyes. I know, but I still can't help but feel that letting it go would be letting her down. It wasn't long before we reached her mother's final resting place. Vina set the bouquet in a marble vase next to the sarcophagus. I gathered these roses from the royal garden. They're the absolute best. We shared a quiet moment without words until a voice from behind caught our attention. Well, there you are. Well, fancy meeting you here. She hadn't attended a sovereign memorial commemoration since father's passing. At my age, surprises are as rare as non-gray hairs. Don't act as though my presence is some extraordinary revelation. And for the record, I can still navigate these halls without assistance, thank you very much. Vina, it's so good to see you. You're looking as lovely as ever. You too. Vina went to her and they exchanged a brief embrace. Her eyes swept across the room, coming to rest on Lena's grave. Forgive my lack of decorum. I should treat this day with the gravity it deserves. Gradually, she drew near, her eyes conveying unexpressed sentiments. She reached out and took Vina's hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. She was an extraordinary woman, your mother. I'd even go as far as to say she was like a daughter to me. I wish I'd known her as well as you did. I kind of want to say that, but oh God. Really, mother? Like a daughter? You never met a noble woman you didn't disparage. I was insecure, darling. Even after my status was secured, I never got over the feeling that I was an imposter. Except around Her Highness. That was part of the reason I loved her. She smiled in fond recollection. I remember the exact moment my feelings toward her changed. It was right after the Civil War broke out at Wayland. You two were at Palais Resna for dinner, and Lena and I absconded for tea after you and your father got into another one of your roles. Up to that point, I was adamant that Rizia should accept as few Wessex refugees as possible, but as I spoke with your late wife about the situation, she made such a convincing case for empathy and kindness that I was literally moved to tears. She had this way of seeing past politics, straight to the heart of the matter. The very next day, I persuaded Valero to open our borders. There were tears in Vina's eyes. That's beautiful. I had no idea. I'm not going to be rude. She and I never spoke about such weighty topics. A shame. Who knows how many valuable insights were lost when that boat capsized. I know she would have been proud of the person you've become, Vina. Despite Vina's attempts to conceal her emotions, the subtle quiver in her lips, and a deep sigh betrayed her inner turmoil. Please excuse me. Vina hurried out of the room before anyone could respond. Losing a parent is hard, especially when they love you as much as Vina's mother loved her. Speaking of love, it's about time we consider wedding bells for Vina if we want to ensure the continuation of our lineage. I keep coming back to the same answer. The only way to ensure our stability is to marry her off within House Torres. That trigger should be pulled only out of desperation, dear. I don't think we're there yet. But I'm getting sidetracked. In case you're wondering, which I know you are, I'm here to finally pay your father a visit after finding this. My mother reached into her handbag and held up a weathered envelope. Take the envelope. A love letter from your father, the first one he ever wrote, and I want to honor him by giving it back. Oh, for a moment there, I thought you were handing me divorce paperwork. It's 5 years and a heart attack too late for me to divorce Valero, darling. She took the envelope out of my hands and shoved it back into her bag. Let's go pay him a visit. My mother left the room and I followed behind. We made our way down the great hall, past the resting places of the great leaders and some not so great who came before me. It wasn't long before the light from the eternal flame, a single torch placed at the late king's sarcophagus, symbolizing a monarch's enduring reign, guiding us the rest of the way. As we neared, my mother's pace slowed as if an overwhelming wave of memories pressed upon her. I'll say nothing. The flame's flickering glow cast dancing shadows on the path. We stopped just before we reached my father's stone encasing. There you are. We both fell silent. In the royal tradition, deceased kings were initially entombed here. However, upon the passing of the succeeding monarch, a solemn ritual was observed, relocating the late king to rest alongside their forebears. If you don't mind, I'd like to say a few words to your father. Please, by all means. Val, I feel the need to speak to you, even though you've departed. For 2 decades, we walked different paths, our views often conflicting, and our words sometimes harsh. Despite the clashes, there was an enduring love that started years ago when our hearts first connected. It survived storms and endured the worst of our disagreements. Tonight, standing by your resting place, I want you to know that my heart bears no bitterness. Instead, it holds the echoes of laughter, shared moments, and a touch that transcends words. Our journey had its cruelties, but it never diminished the warmth your presence brought. As I reflect, I realize that love was our constant, despite its complexities. I kept quiet and continued to listen. The years etched lines on our faces, but they also deepened my affection for you. Through triumphs and tribulations, you are my confidant, my partner, my solace. So in this space between the living and the departed, I speak these final words. My reserved heart lays bare the truth. I love you then. I love you now. Farewell, until we meet where love knows no bounds. She presented the letter to the flame, watching as it intensified, consuming the paper until it vanished. May it rest with him, carrying the memories of a cherished connection and the legacy he left behind. For better or worse, his legacy will live on. It's a reminder that our actions reverberate through time, something you'd be wise to consider in the decisions you make, my son. Unfortunately, my father's and my legacies are intertwined. He may not have been a perfect man, but his responsibilities are now yours. Actions matter, but how you carry the family name matters equally. Your choices will shape our legacy. I'll ensure the name stands strong, even if it means shouldering the weight alone. Your decisions impact more than just your destiny. They leave a mark on our family's history. Perhaps, but I'll paint a legacy that transcends any failings and shortcomings of the past. You speak as if this royal house has the plague. You have the power to redefine what it means to bear that name. Sometimes the most profound responsibilities are the ones we inherit, not by choice, but by destiny. Destiny or not, I'll strive to leave a legacy that stands apart from the mistakes of my father. His defeat in Palais is one of the greatest tragedies of our time, which is why I aim to avenge it and restore honor to our house by any means necessary. Our family's honor was never lost, even in the face of adversity. Even in defeat, your father fought with dignity. That said, I fear your unwavering quest to reclaim Palais may lead to a case of history repeating. I begin pacing around the hall. I appreciate your concern, but this time will be different. You don't know what will happen more than anyone else. That may be, but I do know when I see the same mistakes, such as a son determined to embark on a military expedition when his intentions should be on the rightful restoration of zeal. I also know that the very foundation of the monarchy has been put at risk through such actions. And speaking of risk, I've heard whispers about your escapades with House Azaro, a family harboring their own ambitions regarding the throne, and so the rumors say. I too hear whispers, whispers that speak of a queen secretly practicing desnudity under the guise of being a devout follower of rulicism. If that doesn't epitomize risky behavior, I'm not sure what does. A sharp intake of breath escaped her lips as the unexpected revelation hit her. I don't know what you're talking about. Hmm. Oh, quit playing dumb. You know very well what I'm saying is true. Mother remained unyielding, her gaze boring into mine. Yet it wasn't long before she succumbed, exhaling a sigh of resignation. It's called faith for a reason. It's not something you casually discard, like shedding clothes for a different outfit. If you're looking for an apology, you can forget it. I will not renounce my beliefs to appease anyone's expectations, and I'll be damned if you think otherwise. The lingering sound of her final words reverberated throughout the chamber. Hmm. Look, I honestly don't care what you believe. I just wish you'd been forthright about it. You're right. I should have been forthright with you, and for that I'm truly sorry. Please understand, if word got out about my beliefs, it could jeopardize your position as king and fuel unrest among those who hold different views. My intention was to shield you from unnecessary complications and ensure the stability of the kingdom, even if it meant keeping a part of myself hidden. The only soul who knew the truth was your father. As king, and more importantly, as my son, you had a right to know, and I'm sorry. Hmm. I can't imagine the burden you carried, especially after father's passing, and for that, I'm in your debt. There's no debt between us, only the bond of understanding and love. She reached out and gently touched my arm before kissing me tenderly on the cheek. It was then we heard the far distant rings of the bells of the Ark Sanctuary of Zilba begin to chime. It's time for the ceremony to begin. Right, almost forgot all about it. I'm sure Vina's wondering where we are. Then we best be off. Before departing, I cast a final glance at Father's resting place, and a rush of memories flooded my mind. Hmm. Yeah, this is where things got a little heated the last time and it went completely differently, but this seems to be a much more nicer ending. Mm, since we're being forthright with each other, I want you to know that I aim to preserve Father's legacy and do right by him. As a tribute to his memory, I vow to fulfill what he started by reclaiming Palais. His vision for the kingdom will become our reality. Sure. I can't help but feel a sense of skepticism and concern, but I trust in God. and I have faith that you will succeed. Taking my mother's arm, we departed, leaving my father to his solitude. Yeah, last time things were definitely not that nice. Resilience reigns. Former Queen surprise attendance elevates sovereign memorial commemoration. We read that last time as well, so I won't read that again. And now we have the Declaration of War speech. I skipped through this a lot when I played this off camera because I was just really trying to get to the war stuff. But of course, I will actually go over this. The faint murmur of the crowd outside seeped into the room, its restlessness contrasting with the stillness inside. The walls of this solemn chamber inside Palais Resna were adorned with the dignified portraits of my ancestors, King Valero, Queen Liza, and the long lineage of House Torres stretching back to its inception. Uncle Hugo peered out towards the balcony, then turned to face me, his expression a mix of resolve and solemnity. Ramis, as you stand before our kingdom today, remember that history is written by the victors. Those with the true courage to face the tempest of uncertainty and survive will echo throughout history. I will lead our kingdom to battle with an iron fist, and our triumph will echo as a testament to Rizia's unbreakable will. Such ferocity, Ramis. Your father would be surprised. The Iron Fist has never brought good on our people. Oh my god. Strength must be judicious. It's a tool, not a tyranny. Against Palais, we will show our might, but it will be to protect our people. 2.5 million people have gathered outside, flooding the city streets of Port Drazen. Our entire police force is deployed for their safety. The Golden Guard has been deployed with its entire division, ensuring the city center is a safe zone. The air is tense, reminiscent of the days before battle, yet there's an undeniable resolve among our people. The past memories are resurfacing. The 1923 war and the 1926 revolt was just like this, with Port Drazen caught in the throes of upheaval. History, it seems, is repeating itself. Our country can't afford to lose ever again. But this time we are better prepared and more united. The mistakes of the past have taught us. I just hope that our preparations and unity can lead us to a peaceful resolution sooner rather than later. I also forgot to mention too, in the playthrough I did off camera, Vina got kidnapped because she was in Palais when I declared war. But there was one time where she got kidnapped and she was being held by Axel. There was another time, however, that I managed to get her back and it like bugged out and she just appeared at the Capitol instantaneously. So yeah, weird things. You are so naive, my princess. Peace is a term of the past now. Peace might seem distant, Vina, but our unity and preparations are key to navigating these treacherous waters. Peace is never distant, no matter how far it seems. We achieved it in the past. We will achieve it again. The moment was punctuated by the arrival of a member of the Golden Guard. His armor gleamed under the room's warm lights. He relayed to Hugo that all was prepared. The time had come to address the kingdom, to define the future of Rizia at war. All is prepared. Would you like any of us to be by your side with you on the balcony? You are all family. I want you by my side. Then together we shall present a united front to the world. Rizia's strength lies in its family. Side by side, just as it should be. Our people need to see us united now more than ever. I'll stand with you, Father. It's time I took my place at your side. Yeah, until I, put my son on the throne. You're gonna be so happy about that. The rhythmic cadence of countless voices echoed outside. Stepping out onto the balcony, the scene that unfolded before me was immense. A sea of people stretched across the streets and against the dense backdrop of buildings fading into the distance. Approaching the microphone, I paused, taking in the massive gathering. Silence spread across the mass, their attention focused entirely on me. My people, I greet you. Hmm. Hmm. We gather amidst brewing storms, standing strong against the tides of challenge. Hmm. I decided to talk about the naval incident that occurred. The Pelasians dared to challenge us at sea, encroaching upon our rights and attacking our brave sailors, an act of undeniable hostility. Our naval forces were unjustly attacked at sea, a clear act of aggression by Pele against Rizia. In honoring the brave souls lost at sea, we pledge to resist Pelasian naval aggression with unwavering strength. I solemnly vow to avenge these vile actions, promising a response that will overwhelmingly echo our might to our adversaries. Talk about the arbitration. Despite our earnest efforts at arbitration, the AN's decision against us left our nation vulnerable, compelling us to act. Hmm. No matter what they throw at us, we will stand tall. Our rights are just no matter what they claim. I don't want to I don't want to say anything bad about them. It is regrettable. It is a regrettable twist that Wayland, despite years of alliance, refrained from standing by us when it mattered most. Hmm. In the wake of arbitration, let it be clear: no decision can sway our commitment to protect what is ours by history and by right. Let's highlight other subjects. In the face of global injustice, we stand firm in defending our rightful claims to Oris. The international community and the AN are against us. The world order they are creating is a farce. In our efforts for peace, we reached out to Palais time and time again, only to be met with betrayal and aggression. Yeah, I saw this here before. From Meridia's Gulf to Sudi's, then across to the Anticean Sea, our lands will stand unshackled, our people resolutely free. It has an ominous, it's very reminiscent of From the River to the Sea, Palestine to be free. I don't know if that was the inspiration from it, but when I first saw that, I was just like, oh, that's interesting wording there. Um, don't know, how people are going to feel about that in the game, but, it's interesting. Let's see. Under the watchful gaze of the world, we shall rise, showcasing the indomitable spirit and resolve that courses through Rizia's veins. Move on to my convictions. Our southern border faces a looming threat, one we must confront decisively to secure our future. Confronted by Palay's aggression at sea and on our lands, our response will be swift and unyielding. Murmurs of interest ripple through the crowd, their attention sharpening as my words resonated with them, stirring a quiet energy. I will address the people. To the people of Rizia, the soul of our nation, now is the time to rise, to join the ranks of those who defend our land. Together, we are an unbreakable force. United, we will face this challenge and emerge stronger as one Rizia. From the fields to the factories, your contributions fortify the very foundation upon which our kingdom stands. As we stand on the brink of destiny, our collective resolve is our greatest honor. For every challenge faced, Rizia stands taller, prouder. I address the noble houses. House Azaro, our warriors led by the steadfast Lucida Azaro and the legendary General Tadius, march with us into battle. As Brennus and Valenquirius unites, so do our hearts and purposes in the face of our common enemy. In the halls of Port Drazen, the heart of our kingdom, our family's resolve stands as a beacon of hope for all Rizians. Noble houses of Rizia, your unity and allegiance in this crucial hour fortify the soul of our nation. I decided to address the Rizian armed forces. Dear Rizian soldiers, airmen, and sailors, today you embark on a great, great conquest. A conquest that our nation will endure and triumph in. In you, the legacy of our forefathers lives on. A legacy of resilience, honor, and an unbreakable will to protect our homeland. The deployed soldiers around the palace were listening attentively and saluted. Jesus Christ. To the mighty Rizian fleet, masters of the sea, your dominance on the waters is a display of our nation's strength and determination. To our brave warriors, know that each of you carries the heart of Rizia into battle. Your courage and sacrifice light our path to peace and prosperity. Move forward to the conclusion of the speech. Midway, an undercurrent of energy surged, with sporadic claps and shouts emerging, signaling a shift to active engagement and support. As your king, I stand before you, not only as a leader, but as a steward of our collective legacy, committed to restoring what is ours. Let it be known that this reunification is not an act of aggression, but a step towards the fulfillment of Rizia's destiny. Our independence is non-negotiable. We will not be swayed by international pressures or alliances that threaten our sovereignty. The time for diplomacy has passed. Rizia must now assert its might and valor in the face of Pelasian aggression. We draw strength from our resident heritage, a legacy of glory and resilience. United we stand, a family, a kingdom, one indomitable force for the future of Rizia. Now raise a fist in the air. Glorious Axa Rizia. Promise your leadership today reaffirms the unyielding spirit of House Taurus and Rizia itself. In the final moments, fervent cheers and applause erupted, a potent mix of passion and resolve filling the air. Rizia's fate teetered on the edge. War was a never-changing subject, repeating its age-old story. All right, so I have affirmed myself as the Lisan al-Ghalib, and I will turn around and conquer Palais. Grace reiterates support for Rizian security. Grace stands by Rizia's right to secure its national interests. We condemn Pelasian aggression against Rizian military assets and call for a swift resolution of the conflict in order to prevent a wider conflagration. In regards to the Oris gas field, Grace supports Rizia's claim, as over 50% of the field lies within Rizian maritime boundaries. Palais's attempt to claim rights to it can be considered a violation of Rizian sovereignty. Palais condemns invasion and calls for international support. Palais's Grand Duke Axel Reinhardt strongly condemns Rizia's invasion and calls upon the international community to stand with Palais against this act of aggression. Palais is announcing a full mobilization of its society, calling for all young, able men to enlist in the military and for transformation of the economy into a state of war. Won't do you any good, sir. I am going to bomb them into the Stone Age and turn Palais into a parking lot. All right, King Ramus and royal family rally Rizia for war. In an unprecedented show of unity and strength, King Ramus stood alongside his family on the balcony of Palais Resna, addressing the nation as Rizia prepares for war against Palais. The presence of Queen Mother Estella, Princess Vina, and Grand Vizier Hugo Torres, alongside the king, served as a powerful symbol of unity and resolve. The royal family's commitment to Rizia's cause has inspired countless citizens as they rally behind their leaders in these trying times. The speech, echoing with themes of unity, resilience, and national pride, has ignited a fervent patriotic spirit across the kingdom. I'm surprised geopolitical doesn't have anything to say about this. All right, I got 3 things that have popped up. War enlistment report. In the wake of the war declaration, citizens have responded in varying degrees to the call to arms. The official war recruitment report reflects the nation's commitment to the war effort. This crucial document reveals the current state of enlistment, but also guides the kingdom's strategic manpower pool for the start of the conflict. Moderate amount of voluntary enlistment. Okay, so we have +2 authority, plus 700 manpower, plus 150 per turn. Okay. Appreciate that authority because I didn't want to have to go in there and adjust that. All right, so I need to change some of these stats. War expenditures per term. Let me see, stricter worker regulations, energy storage costs, and military expenditures. So yeah, I need to change a couple of those. And weakening traditions. I need to change that as well. All right, Monkeys' strong response to war mobilization. The response to the war mobilization has been overwhelmingly positive. Citizens from all walks of life are showing up in droves at recruitment centers, demonstrating their eagerness to support Rizia's military campaign. The city, known for its rich cultural diversity, is presenting a united front, with community leaders and local organizations actively encouraging participation in the war effort. Record numbers at recruitment offices. The spirit of patriotism is palpable as young and old alike flock to recruitment offices, eager to serve Rizia in its war against Palais. Long lines of volunteers, united by a common cause, are a show of the unwavering commitment of the city for the national effort. Local officials report an unprecedented surge in enlistment, reflecting Montclair's strong tradition of military service and its residents' resolve to defend their homeland. Fort Aile's youth lead the charge in war enlistment. The city is witnessing a surge in military enlistment, particularly among the youth following the royal rallying cry for war. The city's historic military academy has become a hub of activity, with young men and women signing up to defend Rizia. The enthusiastic response highlights Fort Aile's reputation as a cradle of military leadership and its pivotal role in shaping the future of the armed forces in these critical times. Right, so that's all the reports that we have there. Rama's speech galvanizes public sentiment towards war. King Rama's recent address has successfully rallied the Rizian public, with many citizens expressing strong support for the war against Palais. This surge of patriotic fervor, driven by the king's compelling rhetoric, marks a significant shift in public opinion, potentially shaping Rizia's geopolitical strategy in southern Marcopa. I don't think that happened when I did it off camera that time. There's operation preparation, sabotage plans. Rizian intelligence proposes sabotage plans. The Directorate of Rizian Intelligence reports that a team of spies have successfully infiltrated Pelagian security forces and are waiting for orders. The Directorate proposes a covert operation to sabotage strategic enemy defenses before the invasion begins. Yeah, let's sabotage those air defenses because that's something that we just really can't deal with. Fuck Lesbia. Jesus. All right. Operation preparation. General Zaro has requested the participation of the king in strategic simulation for the upcoming invasion of Palais. I will play the tutorial just to see how my forces act. I think they use the same forces that you have in the game currently, so it should be fine. King leads military exercises. King Ramas has personally led military exercises together with General Thaddeus Zaro, preparing the country for an eventual war with Palais. Reportedly, the king performed very well, dutifully taking in all his responsibilities in the event of war and carefully considering different scenarios. All right, so let's take a look at this. All right, so what do we have here? Let's just put a tank right there, you know, tank right there, tank right there. Let's see, we can get some military ships out here. Let's get 2 military ships back here. 2 submarines as well. We have plenty more that we can deploy. We also have plenty of infantry we can use. So we will, oh, okay, let me take that off the board. Put some right there. And we'll put the Mountaineer troops right here. They can head through there if necessary. Okay, I think that looks good. Can we stack more on top? All frontline tiles must have a land unit. Okay. So I guess that's all we can do for right now. Oh, that's right. We can put another ship out there. So let's do another. Can I do another ship out there? Oh, I guess they have 3 spaces and that's all. All right, so let's start this. Are you sure about your initial deployment? Sure. All right, first thing first, I want to bomb the shit out of them. What can I bomb? Can I bomb this? I sure can. Let's go ahead and bomb that. Come on. Could you die now? There you go. Let's just go ahead and get them out of the way. Out of moves. Crap. I forgot. I forgot to do that, to give myself more moves, but it should be fine. All right, so I'm going to use 3 of these to bomb the strategic locations around here. Oh, I can't actually. I need to actively. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead. I guess we'll go ahead and attack this. Yeah, can I attack you? Sure. Then let's go around here. Let's go around there. Then I'm going to bomb, or should I? Can I drop these on these guys? I cannot. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and soften this guy up. All right, so they look like they're gonna be routed on the next turn. Then I'll go ahead and soften you up. All right, let's end the turn. Oh no, they took out my tank. Well, that's just unfortunate. Okay, can we not bomb them or something? I would really appreciate it if we could. All right, so they're gonna attack them. I guess they can't bomb them or anything like that, but can I? Is there anything I can really do against them? I guess I better bomb them. Well, I can't bomb them. Crap. So I'll bomb them instead. Them. Bomb them. You get a bomb. You get a bomb. You get a bomb. What else should I do? And actually, let's do that. And then, because if yeah, I guess that'll work. I guess that'll be okay. And you can support them, I guess. Sure. Nice. Oh, they kind of combined for an attack there. Okay. But that's fine. Now, I guess we can't really do anything against them. That's not what I meant to do. That's not what I meant to do at all. Let's see. I can't move them any further. Crap. Okay, nice. So there's that. A naval invasion. Okay. Sure. There's just that. Yeah, they're basically wiped out at this point. I can deploy additional units. And I guess I can't do it because I don't have any open spaces. This should be fine. This should be fine, though, I think. Okay, and I guess that'll be all for right now, even though I think this tank is gonna be overrun. Oh, they bombed my tank, you bastards. Oh no. All right, deal with you. Okay. Oh no. Can we not? There we go. All right. It was all a part of my plan. I completely meant to do all of that. All right. So let us deploy a troop there. Then, okay. We can bomb this now, right? No, we can't. Crap. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and attack them. Then we have paratroopers there, but they can't move. So yeah, all right. All right, so they attacked us there. Can we drop paratroopers on anybody? We cannot. Right. That's a mountainous region, so we can't do anything there. We can attack this. I guess we can attack there. We can't land any troops there, but we can move there. We can support them. We can't support them. However, we should be able to deploy some troops, right? Yeah, we can deploy a tank right there. Okay. And can I swap this? Wait, did you actually deploy? I need you to actually be there. Okay, so yeah, now it's actually there. Let's swap them so we can go through here. All right, let's end this turn. Oh, now you're gonna run. All right, taking out that. Okay. Still can't take them out. However, let's go ahead and overrun them. All right, nice. Let's attack. Then we can go ahead and attack there. Right. I can bomb the city as well now. Yep. We'll bomb them into the Stone Age, and then we can just overrun them. And we got it. It definitely took a little bit longer than I thought. I definitely wish I had more turns. So I'm gonna have to see if I can find that in the settings. There's no need to move anything. I guess fortify your position, right? Sure. Yeah, fortify your positions. You guys heal up. I don't know if this affects them in the long run, but sure. Yeah, sure. Everybody just fortify up. I guess the ships can't fortify, which makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and end this turn. And we'll end this turn. And that's it. All right, strategic simulation completed. The comprehensive strategic simulation designed to prepare for the potential invasion of Palais has been successfully completed. This rigorous drill encompassed various scenarios to ensure readiness and adaptability of our forces under different conditions. Key insights and data gathered from the simulation are currently being analyzed by the General Staff to refine tactics and strengthen our defense mechanisms. All right. So I'll go ahead and stop it here. And the next episode, we're going to have full-blown war. I'm pretty sure the war games are going to be front and center in the next episode. Because again, I didn't actually play the full game. I stopped it pretty much right here when I had this in my off-camera playthrough. Let's see what Chief Palais has here. Palais accuses Rizia of covert actions. Palaisian officials have lashed out at our country, accusing us of sabotaging vital military infrastructure. The country also pleaded to the international community for help, asking for diplomatic pressure on our kingdom to avoid a military confrontation between our two countries. Yeah, you know what's up. You about to get this foot, you about to get curb stomped, so deal with it. Oh man, this is going to be so nice just having that lovely Rizia all up in here. Not even gonna know what a Duchy of Palais is. I'll probably tear down his tower just to piss him off. I wonder if I can execute him. I didn't execute him last time because I think I had outlawed capital punishment, but I think I'll do it this time around. But yeah, we'll go ahead and pick this up in the next episode where the full-blown war begins. So if you like the video, like the video. If you'd like to see more content like this, subscribe. I have a lot of things on the channel, and I will have many more things in the future. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.